out more. And take your browser over to supertalktv.com. You'll see I'm not alone. I've got a lovely lady in the studio with me, but I also call her friend. Her name is Martha Rosado, and her family are up for a wild and great adventure. And so we're going to dive into that today. So first, welcome, Martha.
Hi.
Okay, I want to throw out this question. We always do a question, not always, but sometimes here on Good Things. And I want you to think about, what would you and your family do if you had the courage to do it? All right. And sometimes you hear this question if money wasn't an option or fear wasn't an option or, or whatever those things may be. But I want to take the money sort of boundary away from the question. So what would you wish you and your family had the courage to do? So 601-879-4395. And that ties into Martha and her family's a little adventure, because you guys found the courage to basically sell everything, take your kids out of school, which you're going to homeschool, they're going to be fine, sell everything, rearrange your jobs, and you're going to travel the world as a family of 4 for 3 years.
What? Yes, we were so excited. And I think that question is where it started, really, was like, what is the biggest, coolest thing we could ever do? And then we planned from that, right? And so how do we make it reality?
And full disclosure, Martha and I are besties. And so I have known that you guys have always had a spirit of travel for as long as I've known you, Martha. And where I feel like your story starts is you guys started putting away a special savings fund to go on a dream vacation to Hawaii, which is not cheap, right? Like a good Hawaiian vacation is not cheap. And then before I knew it, you were talking about, well, we're going to expand that a little bit and we're going to sell everything and travel the world for 3 years. And I was like, well, that escalated pretty quickly. But there's a lot of families listening to Good Things who enjoy even international travel, right? As families. There's not, you may be the only one besides Dave, who's a part of SuperTalk family, who, has really thought through and then pulled the trigger on something this grand. So you and your husband, DJ, how did this happen?
I think, like I said, it started with, watching YouTube videos and dreaming. And then, from there, we started to try to research, okay, well, what would be the price tag on something like that? How much money do we really need to save? How do you homeschool children, right? How do you work through all the logistics to make it happen? And then we minimized our living expenses. We paid off our debt. We maximized our savings. We did a net worth spreadsheet and tracked every penny in and every penny out. And it was really motivating to get to that goal of wanting to take a sabbatical.
The cool part, what you just mentioned, was just, okay, you kind of gave it a trial run. It's like, why don't we just see what little we can live on while we're here?
Yeah.
And then how much do you need in terms of discretionary income, to still do the things, and go from it that way. Were you amazed at what little you could live off of?
Yeah, I think
when you start really tracking it.
Right. When we started really tracking it, after we paid off our cars, and then we paid off our mortgage a little bit after that. So even after that, it kind of went from a snowball to an avalanche, and we were able to just live on one income and save all of the other. We were dual income family. And so we saved all of DJ's money and lived off my income. And I think we were kind of surprised. I think especially with COVID shut down our travel. So we weren't spending money traveling. And then we weren't spending money on childcare because our kids were
at home
for that season,
And the silver lining for that, you got the opportunity. You were thrusted into homeschooling, and you're like, might as well give it a try.
Right. Oh my gosh, that was a huge hurdle for us. My husband and I both went to public school, right? I never imagined doing anything else but that. And I think kind of having to do it during COVID, I was like, oh, there's actually joy in this, and this is kind of fun.
And you can do it. And my kids are learning.
Yes. And I taught a kid to read, right? Like, what a freaking miracle that is.
And, and again, not for everybody, but when you have, now you're like, well, that's one of the checks off, or, you're on that list of things we would need for our big, audacious, sort of goal. And now you're like, okay, one step closer to making this a reality, one step closer to making this a reality. At what point did you guys say, okay, this could potentially be doable. Let's start mapping out the next 3 years of travel?
I think we're still doing that now. I think we're a little bit nomadic, in the sense that we know we want to see kind of 3 major areas of the world. We want to see the Caribbean and Mexico. We want to see Australia and Southeast Asia, and we want to see Europe. But we're not exactly sure, which place we're going to go to first. We're going to watch, the condition of the world. We're going to watch, health. Health, and are there COVID outbreaks, different places or other things of concern.
Right.
So we're still in that process, right? I think part of this is taking a break to kind of reset and realign our lives, right? Like, are our lives aligned with what we really want, the values that are really, really important to us, and what are those values, right? Like, it's a whole, we're wrestling with all these things, and we get to put it into practice, and it's not without bumps in the road, right? It's exciting, and I'm excited to go and experience these different things and lay on a beach, but I think there's a lot of personal growth in there too. I think there's going to be some ups and downs.
Well, and I think one of the big, not hurdles, but one of the big steps was you recently just literally had had an estate sale for the living, because normally you have one of those when someone's transitioned to glory, but you guys, because you can't. What are you going to travel with for the next? You taking like a backpack a piece or luggage a piece? Like, what are we getting down to?
Yeah, pretty much. There are like 4 pieces of furniture that we're going to store at my mother's that are sentimental, and kind of a broom closet full of sentimental photo albums, and the rest has to fit in a backpack. Yeah, a backpack each. We'll have 4 backpacks probably.
My mind is like going crazy. But at the same time, though, I can see where once you pull the trigger and it's out of your sight, out of sight, out of mind, then you recognize, we all have probably more stuff than we necessarily, need. And what do you really need? And you're going to be staying at places that are going to have forks, knives, cup. That kind of thing. So it's not like you're not going to have that. It's just not going to be yours.
Yeah, we're going to kind of Airbnb around the world. Shout out to Airbnb. But and I think my closet has been minimized to a kind of an astounding amount, right? Even to the point of like, I need to try this out to make sure I can do it. So I would take a month at a time and just like, okay, I'm only going to wear the stuff I'm taking with me. And like, is that comfortable? Is that actually functional? And I think the hardest thing maybe was getting rid of my shoes. I'm taking 4 pairs of shoes. And I'm not even a shoe person, but that
would be really hard.
That's hard.
That is hard. Well, because if you invest in good shoes, you keep those shoes. Once your feet get to a certain point, you keep those shoes for years, right? And so even if you're not buying new dangly, sparkly ones every year, you still feel that attachment. What was the hardest thing to let go that you sold or that walked out of your house for y'all's estate sale?
Probably some sentimental pieces. I inherited a lot of furniture from my grandmother, and we were keeping the tip top, but we also had to let a few pieces go because they just wouldn't logistically fit,
Would you at least get the satisfaction of watching whoever got it be excited about having a new owner?
Right. I think that's really what I wanted, of somebody
Making it sound like it's a puppy.
Right. But it's been around. I have memories with that dresser. I know that's silly, but it's we've had it through our entire, almost 20-year marriage. And I remember where it was in my grandmother's house as a kid, right? But I think I try to remind myself that even though the piece of furniture is gone, all of those memories are still right here in my heart, right? Like I haven't sold my Nana,
No, she's going to be watching from heaven as you guys go from, sort of around the world. And I love, you mentioned your 20-year marriage. I mean, this is probably not the best thing to do year one.
Please don't do it year one, y'all.
And then you have kids who are 10 and 7, so they are a little bit older, but they're still at a fun age. Yeah, I've got so many more questions. So we're going to continue our conversation with Martha, who has sold everything except for her family. They're packing that up, one backpack each, and traveling the world. So we got more with that coming up next. Or I hope you're tuned in over at SuperTalkTV.com. You'll see my friend Martha. Her and her family have recently literally sold everything. You still have the cars?
We still have cars for now.
For now, but you sold house, clothes, furniture, everything, rearranged your jobs, figured out homeschooling. Y'all have got 3 years to travel the world. It's just mind-boggling to me. And I think it's really cool because you're from Mississippi and you are going to create a blog and share your story. So before I forget that, where can folks connect with you to make sure that they're following along, living vicariously through you?
Yes, follow along with us at travelwithourfamily.com. And we are the Roaming Rosados on Facebook and Instagram. So Rosado is Rosado.
You mentioned you and DJ have been married almost 20 years now. And so usually when it comes to even just traveling for the weekend, to make a marriage work, there's the structured one and then there's the free bird, right? And so, and it feels like they both complement each other, but for something this magnitude, who's like the structured itinerary one, who's the one we'll figure it out and pivot when we get there.
DJ is the dreamer, and I am the logistics manager. Yes.
Got it. So spreadsheets galore, know what's in the bank. Jeff in Oxford says, I can't afford to travel. I don't know. He's probably speaking from truth, but then I feel like, too, that's what a lot of folks go to is like, well, I can't afford this. And you get asked that a lot, too, and you haven't won the lottery. You guys just tried to figure it out.
Yeah. And I think what happened was like when kind of over the years, as DJ was moving, and kind of working his way up and his income was increasing, we didn't buy the bigger house. We didn't buy the fancy car. We're still living in the same starter house that we bought, before we even had children, And so I think that's where, like, we kind of kept living on a smaller income, even though our income increased.
And that's so, like, that to me, that's in the words of Dave Ramsey, live like no one else. You can live like no one else, right? And we all have areas where we can improve, and finances, some of us feel like. And then there's some, too, we were talking, Martha, about it's interesting to hear what other people's sort of dreams are, because not everybody says, oh, God, I want to sell everything and, travel the world. That would give me anxiety, not into it. But I think we all have that idealistic life, and I'm not talking about like a perfect or easy one, but there's something in us that we wish we had the courage to do, but I don't say we make excuses. It's opportunity cost. You weigh the options and then you choose the best one you can. For some, it's you live in the farm life, but being fearful of leaving the city, and or vice versa. So what were some of your fears or concerns that you guys kind of just worked through and finally decided it's now or never?
Right. I think we're still concerned about safety. One of the things that we think about in research when we're going to a place is, is it safe? Just like Mexico, our first leg. Initially, we were thinking, oh my gosh, Mexico, we can drive there. We're going to road trip to Mexico for 6 months. It's going to be time of our life, right? We'll take our beater van. Yeah, but after we marked off the places you can get kidnapped, the places you're going to get malaria, the places where cartel rules, we weren't driving to Mexico. No, we're going to get on plane.
You can get margaritas here.
Yeah.
That's sad.
So, yeah, we're flying to a safe location within Mexico and enjoying it, but we're not road tripping for 30 hours.
Are you following any, has anybody inspired you, or do you have someone that's taking you under your wing, just kind of, what are y'all just really going at it on your own? I wouldn't say blind, but
we're kind of crowdsourcing information, I would say. We have our favorite YouTube channels that we like to watch. Zatara is a cool one, and Keep Your Daydream, one's on a sailboat, one's in a camper, and there are others that we've enjoyed and kind of their courage. I think you're right. Their courage to just jump out there.
You said that you and DJ thought when you had this big audacious goal of being able to travel the world with your family for 3 years, that you looked at the end and then worked backwards. And then, of course, this is just where my mind goes straight to like, well, the 3 years is going to end, Martha. What are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do at the end of the 3 years? I mean, it's as easy as just come back home, but it's like, but just come back home?
I mean, that is a great question. And I will tell you, I don't know. I don't know. And that is part of the freedom of doing this, is that I think when I come back, I'm going to be different. Our whole family is going to be different. I love what I do. I'm a counselor, and I love that. I imagine I will do, work in that field again. But I'm not too, I don't know, I'm not too concerned about what I do when I come back. Like, I think that's part of the adventure.
Well, and 3 years is a long time, and then it's a short time, and then you'll figure, so you sort of figure it out. But those are the questions I feel like that keep us hung up. And there's also this wave, and it was gaining, I guess, it was starting to trend, and then obviously, and then COVID. But there was this idea or this movement that you would take many retirements throughout your life instead of waiting for retirement, because so often, and I'm not one that can speak from experience. I'm terrible about taking even vacations, but I like to daydream. But it's this idea that instead of waiting, you spend all of your best years working up to retirement, and then you don't know what 65 is going to look like or after. And so it's about taking these either 2 weeks or 2 months or these longer stints, spaced out, and then, building on those experiences instead of just waiting for retirement. And for some folks, retirement never comes.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, we very much think of this as like a sabbatical or like a mini retirement, kind of in our prime, right? I can still carry a backpack. I can still carry the 7-year-old if I need to, through a hike. And we're never promised. I think that's one of the things that really kicked us in the butt and made us commit to this dream too. We lost a good friend, Hatish, early and suddenly, right? And he loved to travel. And so I think part of that was DJ and I just looked at each other and was like, we got to go, and we got to go now.
And I also love that y'all are doing it together and you're both on board. But there's always ultimatums for anybody when you're going to do something this big. So what was DJ's like? Either we got to go, or we must do, or we're not doing it.
Oh, I think he was just going to keep buying sailboats until I said yes.
And what was yours?
I don't know, but the first house we're going to live in is going to have a pool in it. So,
you just kind of had your stipulations. And I know your 2 girls are in the mix of this. Do they have, are they in on, what they're packing, what they're taking? Are they taking any, personal item?
I am so surprised at how willing they were to sell their toys. We told them any money they get from selling their toys they can have back when we settle down. They also get a puppy when we come back stateside, so they're super excited about that. But I would say they probably have a gallon Ziploc bag full of fidgets apiece, and that and clothes is probably just about all they're taking.
And they won't even recognize the cool experiences and memories that they, will have. And I know as a mom, you start to think about, at that age, that's middle school sort of age, that's whatever, oh gosh, what will they miss out on? But then at the same time, they're going to have experiences that what other 10 to 13-year-old or 7 to 10-year-old's going to get. Y'all are going to be such a cool, either you're going to hate each other. Y'all get back stateside and y'all are each going to go northeast, southwest in different directions, or it's just going to be a really cool, it's going to be a cool family experience. Jeff in Oxford says Martha could write a book about their travels when she gets back. I have a feeling, if nothing else, we can follow her along the way, and I will be living vicariously through you for sure. The food part.
Excited about the food.
Do you have a picky eater in your family?
We kind of do.
Who's the picky?
Yeah, Kate is our picky eater, our 7-year-old.
Well, they probably they have chicken on just about every continent.
Yeah, we can make it through chicken and crackers, cheese. We'll survive, hopefully. Calories in.
That will be an interesting. You need to add that into your storytelling as you go to see if she becomes more willing and open as the countries go by. Do you have a way that you're going to keep track of all your travel? I know with the blog and all that. I'm talking about. At Disney, you get all the character signatures, right? It's a little bit better than that. But have you thought of a way of keeping up wherever y'all go?
I thought about that, and I'm still trying to kind of come up with an idea without it weighing us down, right? At first, I was like, oh, I'll buy a pair of earrings in every country, but then I was like, gosh, by the end of that might be a little cumbersome. I've also thought about maybe I mail a postcard to my mom from every location. Like, I think that might be fun.
Yeah, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Maybe y'all should plant a tree in every location so you leave the Rosados behind.
Oh, that's awesome.
You take something crazy from like the sweet gum tree or something that would
Or we're planting a magnolia in every
in every way. Martha, I'm so excited for you and your family. I know you'll take Mississippi with you wherever you go. I will be following your story, and you definitely have a seat at this table when you get back. Gosh, that means we'd be here for 3 more years. You just never know. 3 years is a long, short time. So, have fun, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All righty. Y'all stick with us. We got more.